Good day, you're watching the latest news from Kazakhstan. I'm Askar Sheraliyev and these are the top stories for now. Journalist Zhanna Baytelova was ordered for 10-day arrest by Almaty City Court for hooliganism with political context. The management of the National AIDS Center is accused in embezzling of state money. Kazakh Communications Ministry is engaged in the case of collusion between cellular operators. Human rights defender Jabil Tuligenov was hospitalized after being severely beaten in Almaty. Just a few days prior to the incident, the activist had filed a lawsuit on the Temir Bank, which according to him cheats its clients by incorrect counting of the credit compensations. Tuligenov was attacked by 5 unidentified people, including 2 women. Human rights activists assure that it is related with his activities, especially with the lawsuit he initiated. Anyways, he wasn't able to speak to our reporters yesterday as he was tightly guarded by police security officers who didn't let journalists in the ward. Jabil Tuligenov was hospitalized with foot fracture, traumatic brain injury and blood tumor on the temporal fossa. The activist was found laying senseless on the traffic way near the Almaty 1 railway station. According to the victim, the attackers knew exactly which route he normally returns home from work. The activist had initiated earlier a lawsuit against the Temir Bank, claiming it cheats on clients and thus violates laws. At the moment, only one person was allowed to visit the patient. The leader of the Housing for People movement, Yesenuk Tishbayev, claims they are preparing appeal to instigate a criminal case. We'll make an official statement tomorrow. We will not let our fellows face their problems alone. We'll protect him. The public must know about it. He has got all the evidences in the documents which he left at home. Journalist of the Golos Respubliki, the Voice of the Republic newspaper, Zhanna Baytelova, was arrested for 10 days. On Monday, the activists had organized an action which implied throwing manure to the main entrance of the courthouse, after the city court of Almaty had declined her claim to hold 3 top officials of Kazakhstan accountable for illegitimately signing the law on the leader of nation. As a result, she ended up in trial herself.
The Almaty City Court had sentenced journalist Zhanna Baytelova for 10 days of arrest for holding a unique protest action after being refused in her claim. On Monday, Baytelova had wrapped almost 2 kilograms of manure up in the paper containing the court resolution. In the trial, though, the physical evidence wasn't presented, and Baytelova explained what it exactly was supposed to symbolize and that she did it after court refused to satisfy her claim to hold officials who signed the law on leader of nation accountable. She wore medical gloves and threw the manure around. Constitution guarantees my rights for self-expression as long as it's non-violent. The judge Kuzembayev stated that no victims were registered during the action. He claims, even considering the mitigating circumstances like whether or not Baytelova was disabled or pregnant, only when the verdict was read it sounded like being prearranged. The court has resolved to find Zhanna Baytelova guilty on the Article 130 of the Administrative Code and take under administrative arrest for 10 days. After reading the decision, the judge has left the courtroom immediately, while Baytelova told reporters she doesn't regret about her actions. Well, I at least expected a fine, but it's okay. Let the judge Kuzembayev know that the next manure cakes will be thrown just at his head. By throwing the manure on the court building action, Baytelova had addressed all the controversial political trials on the cases of Kazatomprom's leader Mukhtar Jakishov, human rights defender Eugene Zhovtis, and the Respublika newspaper. Activists believe that the Kazakh judiciary system doesn't deserve other approach and therefore says sorry only to janitors who had to clean the manure up.
The National AIDS Center's management is accused in embezzling the state budget money. At the moment, the director was put away from his post while the senior accountant is under arrest.
The National Aid Center's director was put away from his post while its chief accountant has been arrested. Both are suspected in stealing more than $300,000 of state budget money. In the meantime, the prosecution claims that the amount may be even more significant as the investigation is still underway. Currently, the documentation for the last 10 years is being inspected.
The investigation had so far established violations by Slesarев as well as number of previous directives proven by the act signed either by them or the chief accountant.
The investigation involved 3 bodies such as Finance, Police, Prosecutor's Office and Financial Inspection Agency. According to one of them, about 10 criminal cases will be instigated shortly. The Prosecutor's Office claims it has got sufficient facts proving the personal engagement of the director in fraudulent scheme.
I don't agree with these accusations. Yes, the prosecution has the embezzlement facts, but they were not under my leadership.
The aid center employees also don't like to comment the situation. Its acting leader Gulnara Nugmanova confirmed that facility continues rendering the full service to population.
I can't really comment it since the money was transferred by the Kazakh Healthcare Ministry, and as I already said, the investigation continues.
In the meantime, it's known that the inspection was initiated by the center's employees who have accused Slesarев in corruption, illegally firing staff and misusage of money back in March. The inspection of the aid center will be completed by the end of August. Prosecution is sure that all guilty will be held accountable.
Majority of villages in Pavlodar region have no pharmacies. Local residents are forced to travel many hours to the cities in order to buy medication.
No medicine around. Almost all the villages of Pavlodar region have no pharmacies. Galina Shanenko, resident of Galkina village, is forced to travel all the way to Pavlodar city in order to buy necessary medication. She looks desperate as her son for already 20 years has been suffering the schizophrenia and during the spell of illness becomes dangerous for surroundings. But Galina has to spend total 4 hours to travel to the city.
Это дорога, это там искать аптеку эту.
It appears that while I look for the pharmacy, I end up spending more money than the medication cost itself. I can't do without them either.
Какое-то лекарство бесплатное. А без него нельзя никак.
The Algan-registered party activist Perizat Kasimova says almost 90% of village residents are forced to travel to towns and cities for buying medicine. Discontent with such situation, the residents intend to appeal to the local authorities and healthcare departments. Those with disabilities must first go to Sherbakta Administrative Center and get the prescription and only then go to the city and look all over for the medicine. Local administration refrains from commenting the situation. In the meantime, the village polyclinic was simply closed. The chief doctor of the district hospital admits that the problem with pharmacies is quite topical. Doctors could sell the medicine before, now they are required to have license for it. We had the Shapager, but it's being closed and other pharmacies have no license to sell the psychotropic medication, therefore people are forced to go to the city. The district administration promises to solve the problem with pharmacies by September, as the village pharmacists are expected to get trained and licensed to sell medication. However, the issue on the discounts will remain the same.
The Kazakh cell phone operators and the so-called Russia's top 3 companies are accused in tariff collusion. The Competition Protection Agency is conducting investigation on reasonability of the prices for incorrect services, interconnect services, which they find too expensive. Meanwhile, the Competition Protection Agency continues investigating and claims the problem may be solved without serious consequences.
The cellular communication operators are competing with each other on behalf of the customers who pay for the connection between different companies. The preliminary analysis shows that the services for interconnection or the services for connection take the substantial part of the cost for the voice calls, both in the internal and international connections. The analysis has resulted in the instigation of the case against 3 Russian connection giants, MTS, Beeline and Megafon, including 2 Kazakh monopolists, Kazakh Telecom and Cartel, the daughter of Vimpelcom. Their actions looked suspiciously coordinated. The reason why we are not planning to take extreme measures is, first of all, because we are already conducting several investigations on protecting the rights of customers against mobile operators, and this is all well known. Secondly, the leadership of the Communication Ministry has made a motion in your favor. The operators in their turn understand the position of the Competition Protection Agency. We're currently conducting a constructive dialogue. Naturally, we're not going to play against our favor. We will be glad to decrease the tariffs if they will be economically substantiated. The Competition Protection Agency has organized a press conference and invited European specialists. The world practice shows that the high tariffs on interconnection is the fundamental move for the new companies as they develop on behalf of outside calls.
But I think it has been a tool that has been used in many European countries and has created entry, sustained entry in many examples.
The expansion of the market decreases the tariffs. Today, Sweden has 4 cellular operators, whereas Kazakhstan has not introduced any new players in the market, even though it has high tariffs for interconnection. There are 2 monopolists in the country, and they cover 90% of the country.
South Kazakhstan residents face a problem with transportation as its lack make trips to Dachas quite complicated. Next report has more.
How do the people reach their destination? The suburban residents of Bozaryk in the southern Kazakhstan are demanding to provide them with public transportation. They have invited authorities and the peaceful meeting has turned into a squabble between the sides. The biggest problem is the road. You don't have enough people to provide you with public transportation. According to the transportation workers, 300 residents of the suburb can walk wherever they want, whereas the distance to the city is 50 kilometers. The suburban residents have to pay twice as much compared to the city residents. The residents are outraged that the authorities are unable to influence the bus drivers who independently set the price fare. Authorities claim that they have even created special commissions talked with the drivers, but they still continue increasing the price. The distance between Bozaryk suburbs 1, 2, 3 and 4 is too long, but upon the request of the residents we are going to create a working commission that will review these problems. This is not the first promise of the authorities, state the activists of unregistered political party Algai. In the last 6 years, people have appealed to the prosecution office, to the city administration and to the state construction agency. They are not reacting anyhow, and now the representative of the administration is finally promising that in the nearest future they will introduce a route and the price for the transportation will go down by 1.5 cents. Despite of promises of the state official, the residents intend to write an appeal to the prosecution office as the city administration has protracted the decision-making over the problems of the Bozaryk suburb.
This is all for now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.